Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the reports and report writing. So, when you're creating report writers, the report writers are set up with column chooser section. Depending on the report type that you set, the columns that are available in that report type will be displayed, and you will be able to manually choose the option that you want to be displayed on the report. When you're choosing a report, you can click here for report type details. So I've gotten pretty good at kind of memorizing what each report type can do. But if you're not that familiar yet, click on that report details and it will tell you the different tabs and areas within the system that report type is picking up. One thing that's important to note is that you can't combine multiple report types. So if you choose payroll setup, you can't combine that with payroll analysis information. To be clear, what I mean by that is payroll setup would be actual employee profile information. So if I wanted a list of every employee's direct deposit accounts, and I also wanted payroll information, so I wanted to know how much of a medical deduction they had on their last payroll. I can't combine those two reports into one report because they're pulling from separate areas within the system. So again, the column chooser is based on the report type. It'll give you the available fields, and that's where you're choosing the fields. The advanced column option is where you can do your sorting. It's where you can do some additional configuration to the report. So if I wanted to change the name of this header from last name to just name 2, I can simply click on it, make that change, and then it updates the name of the header. So you can update the names of the headers here. You can also choose your sort order. So if I wanted it to be sorted by first name instead of the way that it's sorted right now, I can simply click on the arrows and I can say sort ascending. And now it's sorting by first name. I can also reorder the way that the headers are done. So we can do that manually on the actual screen by dragging and dropping, or you can do it here by maneuvering them around on the advanced column options. There are also some additional formula options on a lot of these columns. So specifically with things like amounts, you'll have the option to do formulas like adding, summing, averaging. That information will be available here as well. Another drag and drop option is if I wanted this maybe sorted by city. If I wanted all of the employees sorted in groups by city, I can simply choose the city and drag it to the top. And now my report is sorted by city. So everybody with a blank city is on top, and then the cities are sorted in groups alphabetically. The filter section will allow you to filter by any available column within that report type. So if I wanted to only see employees in Allen, I can choose add a new condition. I can actually choose the field, but I can choose my filter condition, which would be the city. And then I have different options to filter by. So all you have to do is click on the filter and we've made it available to you. So we can say that it's, on a list, it contains certain letters or phrases or words. It does not contain, it is not equal to. If we say it's on a list and I just want to filter for only employees in a specific city, I can manually type that in. If that is just a temporary filter for me and I want to go back to my raw data, I can temporarily deactivate the filter without deleting it completely. I do this a lot of times to just kind of see how my filter is affecting the actual report. So being able to toggle the filter on and off without removing it is helpful for that. Or if you decided that you don't need the filter anymore, you can press the X to simply delete it. So all of the payroll information in terms of pay history, in terms of what was actually paid or deducted or taxed from an employee, is under the payroll analysis menu. As I mentioned, under the additional column options, we do have some formulas, like you'll be able to sum, count, average, minimum, and maximum. So those types of formulas for those fields are hard coded on the report writer column options. There may also be times where our clients will ask us, I have maybe 10 125 cafeteria codes, and I just need one number that tells me the total number of cafeteria deduction that we have. I don't need to see the individual amount for each type of plan employees are on. In that case, you can call us and have us set up what is called a code group. A code group will group earnings, taxes, deductions together so that it will return one amount for you instead of you having to choose each individual earning, tax, or deduction code and then adding them up in Excel. So this would be an example of, something like that. So on this code group section, by default, our system sets up some code groups. So most of our clients will have like all of their 125s grouped together, all of their 401k deduction codes grouped together. So instead of saying, show me 401k, show me Roth, show me percentage, and show me amounts, you'll be able to just click on that code group and get the total figure for all of those things grouped together. One thing that I see a lot when our clients are creating reports that have pay history is you'll put in a check date. Whenever you're running a pay history report and you click on check date, what that does automatically, if check date is on the report, then it returns a value for every check date within the span of time that is on this filter. So if you're running your report for 3 months, 3 months worth of payroll data, and check date is one of the columns that is on the report, it will show you how many times that deduction was taken for each time in that period of time. So you can always filter by check date without actually including the check date on the report if you would like a summary total. If you do want to break down, if I say I want to see how much 401k was taken out of HRIS's paycheck for each payroll in between these periods, go ahead and add the check date to your report. But if you only want a summary that will aggregate the 401k total for that whole period of time and not individuals, you can filter by the check date without actually putting the check date on your report. Sometimes you'll see employees duplicated. Sometimes you'll see employees displayed multiple times on a report writer. That means that you have chosen to include a field where employees show up multiple times. So that can happen, like I said, if you have check dates listed as a field on your report writer and not just a filter, you're going to get multiple returns. That also happens with just payroll setup information. So if you want to see an employee's, deduction setup, if I choose the deduction setup and I choose the deduction code and the rate, you'll notice that, company president will show up on my report a couple of times because there are obviously a couple of reports or a couple of deductions in their setup. So that is where filtering is important, where you can come in and choose a filter and say, I only want to see this deduction. I only want to see active deductions. So if you see employees duplicated or if they show up on your report multiple times, that means that data has been selected from a part of the system where they have multiple lines of data. The other thing that may cause some questions for our clients is the filtering using and or statements. So when you're selecting or choosing a filter, there are a couple of ways that you can add multiple filters to your report. So by default, it will always say all of your filters have to apply. That means that every single thing that you list here has to be true in order for information to turn up on the report. You can toggle this and say if any of this information is true. So if they meet one of these conditions, then they will show up on the report. You can also do the opposite and say if only show me employees where none of these things are true. And it will filter the report out that way. If you want to use and or, the and operator will always be executed first. So if I say if the employee is equal to active and their deduction setup is for before today, and then I add an or statement, I can only do or information after that. And it will work very similar to any of these things apply. Once you say or, you're telling the system that any of these things can be true in order for it to provide me with the information that I need. All of the reports within report writers can be exported to Excel or exported to PDF, and you can always save the report if it's something that you will use again, or if it's information that you'll need in the future. You see a report that you like, or if it has most of the information that you need and you only want to add to it or make a small change, once you press save as new, it is now a completely new report. So if someone else in your organization has created kind of the basis of information that you need, but you want to tweak it, don't worry about using their report as a template. As long as you press save as new, it will separate and create two separate reports without disturbing their initial data. We have also created a bunch of report templates. So if there are things that you need, like a birthday report, we've created templates that should give you a good place to start with that information, and then you can go in and edit as needed. And that was, I think I covered kind of all of the caveats and little tips and tricks that I wanted to cover. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day and an awesome weekend.